I mean, between the month of January and June, and Ghana has recorded not less than 23,000 people living with HIV/AIDS already. And apart from this, only 71% of these people are actually known. Wow, this is a very huge number. And trust me, what happens at the end of the year? Well, I'm not saying this for you guys to panic. I mean, we are going to discuss it later on in the video. But then I forgot to introduce my channel the traditional way. So hey, it's Gabriel and welcome to what? I mean, let's start reacting to the videos already and let's start talking about these huge numbers.
Gabriel answers your questions, vlogs, entertains, it's about stuff. He's full of fun, interviews, and talks about medical school. The question still remains, what would a doctor do?
So over the weekend, these figures were released by whatever department is involved in releasing the number of people who are actually living with HIV/AIDS in the country. So they said a little above 23,000 people are actually having HIV/AIDS in Ghana. I'm not mentioning these huge numbers for you guys to panic. I mean, if you are one of them, because eventually technology has evolved to the extent that you can still live with HIV/AIDS and live a normal life. We will talk about this later on in the video. But before that, whatever happens are actually being discussed on the internet these days. So I decided to surf on the internet. I mean, react to what some of you guys are saying and how you guys are actually accepting these numbers and whatever you are talking about. I'm going to just react to some of them and see which ones are right and which ones are not right, and even talk about some of them and even give an extensive notion about them. So later on the video, we will then talk about the HIV/AIDS itself and any other things that need to be said about it. Well, I'm starting off with Twitter, and whatever comes first is what I read. I wouldn't want to waste much time because I have other things to talk about in the video. I should just keep quiet and start already because I'm just wasting much time. So this one is from Sada. She tweets, "I am not surprised to hear of the rising cases of HIV in Ghana." Obviously, she has seen a lot. "And the youth literally worship sex. No protection or checking statuses." You can say status too as well. So it's good. "We should really take care of ourselves out there, guys. This is real." Well, there are a number of people out there who actually believe that HIV is not real. So let's see what people have to say about this tweet. Yeah. So someone said HIV came to meet sex. Yeah, HIV was discovered later, but before then, people were enjoying their sex. So it's unfortunate. So people feel like they still have to have sex even though there's HIV/AIDS. Okay, you scared now? Yeah, we are afraid because looking at the people we are living with, you might not know who is actually having the HIV/AIDS. People are even ready to share it even though they know that they have this particular virus. So yeah, you guys should just be careful. You shouldn't be scared, just be careful. You get it? Sexual discipline is a must. Yeah, sexual discipline is a must. So that's the abstinence. And let's see. HIV is not real. Well, this one's from WebKit Africa. Unfortunately, HIV is very real. And it's because maybe you've not witnessed that before. That's why. Okay, someone says yate but yemfa. So there's a tree language which says we've heard you but we don't care. We wouldn't consider it. So this one says, "Share, they want hear about what say then." Well, good, I understand. They want to go raw. They wouldn't want to protect themselves with condom. Yeah. Gruff is bay. Sana HIV. Taimu. Sa. That's why I'm always wearing 2 dual condoms all the time. Anyone be a day wear condom. Yeah, it's true. For getaway, he prefers wearing 2 condoms because he has to be extra protected. Yeah. Come to think of it, does that mean it's very good to wear 2 condoms? I wouldn't advise that because it depends on how thick the condom too is, because 2 condoms can literally be 1 condom for other brands. So it depends on how thick it is, but I wouldn't advise if the condom is very, very thick. And HIV is real. Hey, sir, media, you. Yeah, it's very real. Yeah. Thank God I know the see pussy chop. all right. Yeah, then you are safe. But that's not the only place you can actually contract HIV. I do check my status every 3 weeks. Wow. Then that means you are really working, because if you do check your status every 3 weeks, then there's something that you've been doing that demands you checking every 3 weeks, because I feel like 3 weeks is too much. So you can get HIV from free sex. When the person says free sex, I don't know what he means, but you can get syphilis from free sex, you can get hepatitis from free sex, you can get gonorrhea from free sex, you can pay dearly for the free sex. Let's protect ourselves. Yeah. So don't think everything free is actually free. These are some few viruses and bacteria that he mentioned. So we have hepatitis, HIV, specifically hepatitis B, HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea. All this you can contract through sex, and in fact free sex. So this one says 99% are true unsafe sex. The virus, when you say unsafe sex, it means sex that is not really protected with condoms. And so but people actually believe that contraceptive also do protect you from HIV, which is a total lie. That has nothing to do with HIV. It actually protects you from having unwanted pregnancy. So don't think you have contraceptive and so you are protected from HIV. That's why I always recommend the usage of condom, because one, it protects you from having unwanted babies and also protects you not only from HIV but other sexually transmitted infections. Well, I'm not surprised if you come across the number of people who hate protected sex in the country. It's really sad. Yeah, everybody wants to feel it. Why people assume HIV is all about sex? So once you hear someone, what is this? So once you hear someone has HIV, you all assume it's through sex. Let's be guided. Yeah, that's what the person is trying to say. Yeah, definitely you guys need to be guided. You need to be informed that it's not only sex. So don't think it's all about sex. The person had a lot of sex, that's why he or she has the HIV. It can be through, mother to baby, a whole lot of other things I said early on. It's not our fault, sweetie. Sex is sweet, Dodo. Well, yeah, definitely we can't do away with sex. I wouldn't stand here and say we would have to do away with sex, but you have to discipline yourselves if you really want to live long. You can live long with HIV/AIDS. I'm not saying you can't live with HIV/AIDS or you will die, but then you have to treat your HIV/AIDS, which we'll talk about later on in the video. Unemployed guys pick it up from sugar mamas and infect unemployed ladies who are struggling to survive. Unemployed ladies also pick it from sugar daddies and infect their boyfriends who are struggling to survive. The expectation, but all comes down to poverty and hardship. Yeah, that's why these are some other factors that can lead to someone having HIV/AIDS. You get it? Yeah, poverty and hardship is part. But that does not transmit HIV/AIDS. It favors the transmission. Okay, bitter truth. All these young girls don't even want to have protected sex. Sometimes I wonder what motivates them. And this also is a cause of unwanted pregnancy, among other things. Yeah, so I think people not wanting to have protected sex has to do with the fact that they trust their partners. So if you have that trust, you can go ahead. But who trusts people these days? With a lot happening around us, you guys still trust your partners out there? Seriously. If you want to have babies, that's when you should go raw. But aside that, if you really trust your partner, why not? You can also go raw. So I think these are enough. These are the only things I can get out of Twitter. And yeah, basically, so those are some of the things I've reacted to. And I'm going to talk extensively on the HIV/AIDS and how it's been transmitted. We've heard over and over again, and it's not only through sex, as I read early on. And finally, you guys shouldn't panic, because there are ways you can actually live with HIV/AIDS and live a very normal life, happy life, and even get married and have children. So you guys shouldn't panic that the numbers are huge. But what you have to do is you have to know you have HIV/AIDS and you have to treat it as HIV/AIDS. HIV is the virus, human immune virus, and then we have the AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Now, AIDS happens when you contract HIV. Now, AIDS has to do with the fact that your immune systems are weak, because that's what the HIV does. Now, whenever there are other bacteria coming into your system, they get in easily and even do more harm to you, because what happens is that your immune system are weaker because they are being destroyed by the HIV, and so whatever sickness that comes your way, you might be prone to it. That's why it's very advisable that if you are living with HIV/AIDS, you protect yourself against microorganisms, and so you don't get infected all the time, because you might get infected and at the end of the day die, and that might lead to your death. Now, aside that, you shouldn't panic, because HIV/AIDS, has evolved, and we have learned a lot about it to the extent that there are ways you can live with HIV/AIDS without you, suffering, just living a normal life like everybody. Someone would even not know that you have HIV/AIDS, but just the fact that a lot of people don't care when they start their treatment. Now, what happens is that with the treatment of HIV/AIDS is that we try and suppress these particular viruses in order not to make it known to your body, for your body to fight and become weaker, and to that extent that it wouldn't be transmitted from one person to the other. So if you have HIV/AIDS, you shouldn't panic. All you have to do is go to the nearest hospital. Treatment is free, checking your status is free, so you just go there and then tell them your issue, and at the end of the day, you might be given some medicine which will help suppress this particular virus. And with that, though, you cannot share this particular virus to your partner or to anybody around you, and even have a healthy baby. So you shouldn't panic, but then you know the right thing to do. Well, I wouldn't want to talk much about the ways in which HIV/AIDS can be transmitted, because obviously from what I read, you guys know how it's transmitted, except that most of you think it's only through sex, which is not the case. Well, HIV has to do with the fact that there is actually a transfer of body fluid, blood, or even semen from one person to other. That means a person having HIV/AIDS to someone who is not having HIV/AIDS. So that means anything that has to do with the transfer of this particular fluid, blood, and then semen, then that means that there is a chance that the individual who doesn't have HIV/AIDS might contract HIV/AIDS. And this can be seen when you have sex. When you share sharp objects. Now, the reason why we would say you should avoid sharing sharp objects is because, well, you might be very careful not to cut yourself when you're using a sharp object, but you never know, because sometimes you might cut yourself, but you wouldn't know that you've cut yourself because you wouldn't feel pain. And so when you share this object with someone who doesn't have HIV/AIDS, then the person might contract this virus. Aside that, it can be transmitted from mother to baby through breastfeeding, and a lot of other ways that has to do with the fact that there's a blood that's coming in contact with someone who doesn't have HIV/AIDS. Example is blood transfusion, you get it. And another way is through injection. When someone uses a needle, someone with HIV/AIDS uses a needle and you also use the same needle, there might be the chance that you might contract this particular virus. And people do ask me a lot of questions when it comes to sex, because there are a lot of things that are involved in sex. Foreplay. Now, someone might ask, does deep kiss also cause HIV? Is it also part of the ways of transmission HIV is? I would say no, because saliva is not involved in the transmission of HIV/AIDS. But then if you do something we call the oral sex, which involves the semen going into your throat, then you might be also involved in, that might be a way you can contract HIV. So not deep kissing, but oral sex might cause it. But with that said, I really want to debunk certain myths people have against HIV/AIDS. Now, people say HIV is not real. They might have not seen before. Me personally, I've seen people living with HIV/AIDS, and I know it's very much real. So there is nothing of that sort that says HIV is not real. It's very real. Well, they might have their theory, but it's up to them to actually prove it. But I still strongly believe HIV is very real, and so it's up to you guys to also believe it. But I am telling you, it's very real. I don't know which one you should take, but it's very real. I don't know how many times I've told you it's real, but it's very, very real. Well, you might also have heard in some new items that they've gotten cure for HIV/AIDS, right? I'm here to tell you that no cure has been found yet. Well, there are some extensive researches being done about HIV/AIDS, but no institution has ever come out to say, oh, they've gotten the cure for HIV/AIDS, and so this is it. No. They are still working around the clock, trying to save the world, but they've not gotten cure for HIV. So finally, I've come to the end of the video, and the numbers I might have mentioned should not be something you should be overwhelmed with. You just have to go and check your status if you've not checked. And also, if you are living with HIV, you shouldn't panic, because at the end of the day, you can live happily. And you can even live happily ever after than those who have planned to live happily after in their relationship. And aside that, if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do it to subscribe, and don't forget to click on the notification bell to get notified anytime I upload video. And if you've subscribed to this channel already, thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you've not liked this video, if you've not liked this video, like it, because if you like it, nothing will happen. And if you don't like it, nothing will happen. So just like this video. And I did a video on some changes our bodies experience when the weather changes, and we attribute it to the fact that it's because of changes in weather. Meanwhile, you might be sick. Just check that video out. I'll put it here. And this has been it. See you guys in the next one.